This may be a fake game. Hello, thank you so much for joining me today. This video is going to be a little bit different than normal, maybe a little bit more low-key, a little bit more chill, and we're just going to have a little chat about sort of collecting and sort of what makes us collectors, why we collect, and sort of like how we collect in a way, I guess. So, looking at myself, if I go back to roughly 2017, back then I was trying to full set the Master System and the PS2, and I completely burnt out on it, to be honest. It got to around about Christmas time, I got some Christmas presents and stuff, and a load of games and stuff, which was awesome, but it just didn't feel awesome to me, to be totally honest, and it felt kind of horrible, because I felt sort of ungrateful, but I wasn't ungrateful, I was just I was in a position with both of those collections. I was collecting a little bit of GameCube as well. And I was kind of in a position where I'd got most of what I really wanted. And then because I sort of declared I was going to try and full set, I was buying shelves full of stuff that I didn't really want. And it's kind of hard in a way to sort of keep your motivation going if you're buying things that you don't really want to play. And they're just there to be sort of sat on a shelf. And from there, the year after, I actually downsized, sold quite a substantial amount of my collection to sort of where I am now. And sorry, I'm just looking over there. That's where a lot of the collection is. Yeah, and I sold quite a lot of the heavy hitters. So I'll be totally honest, the title and the thumbnail on this video, there's no clickbait there at all. I do sell grails, and yeah, and that game that's gone on the shelf is in a way an example of that. I'll get to that in a minute, but I just want to ask you, please let me know below in the comments. I've always had trouble sort of defining exactly what a grail is, because everyone sort of throws the term around, and I don't know, a grail to me is sort of something that you've always wanted or wanted for a very long time, and it's something that's practically unobtainable, you know, and you've got very little chance in getting it. And yes, I'm sure there are grails out there sort of thing, but a lot of the stuff that I've seen people call grails, they're uncommon games, but I wouldn't even say they were rare games. So I don't know. I've sold games that I would call grails, but well, I've sold games that other people would call grails, should I say. But I wouldn't actually say I've sold any particular grails as such. I think the sort of top game that I've ever sort of sold that people will recognise is probably Rule of Rose on the PlayStation 2. And is it a grail? Not really. It's a half-decent game with terrible combat, but it's got an awesome story, bad combat. But I'm not here to review that. And I sold that in 2018-ish, I believe. And basically, with the money that I got from that, I was able to purchase a PlayStation 3. So, because when I burnt out, I chatted with my sensible adult back in the day sort of thing. And I said, I want to sort of stop buying stuff. I feel like there's no challenge in just sort of throwing money at buying boxes and bundles of video games and just sort of picking stuff up anywhere, whenever I can. And I came up with this idea that I'm going to give myself £10 a week. So from 2018, I've been building my video game collection on £10 a week. And I put it on a spreadsheet every single Friday, basically. And it adds up, and then when I buy something, it comes back down, you know. So when I sold Rule of Rose, that sort of got added into my game fund sort of thing. That was sort of one of the first things that sort of became my game fund. And from there, I bought a PlayStation 3 with 15 to 20 games, I would say, at the start. So sorry, that's over there as well. And everyone's like, "Oh no, don't you regret selling Rule of Rose because you sort of sold it cheap?" And it's like, I think it is about £180 I got for it. And I know now that's worth £500, but that £180 that bought the PlayStation 3 games, some of those PlayStation 3 games, I don't know, for example, Pain, I think I paid £3.50 for that or something, and that's like now a £25-30 game, and a lot of the other games that I bought with it have done exactly the same. So the games I bought with that money is probably appreciated at the same sort of rate that Rule of Rose has. So I don't regret selling it at all, because it's a game that I played, I completed, I enjoyed for the most part, and now I've got a load of other games that I can now play and enjoy, and you know, and that's kind of how I've always been. I've kind of been a gamer first and a sort of collector second. So I don't know, maybe I should be holding on to games like that. I don't know, but I don't really view it as a sort of financial investment. This is my hobby. This is what I enjoy, and I don't think there's any right or wrong way to collect, no matter what people tell you. If you want to collect video games, collect the games that you want to collect. Yeah, and if you're not spending much money, that's great. I think it's the challenge that sort of keeps you going. And if you take the challenge away, any fool with an unlimited bank account can go out and buy full sets of every console that's out there, pretty much. So it might be a few exceptions, but you know what I mean. It doesn't feel like collecting if you're just going out and hardcore, just buying everything at retail. And yeah, I don't know, maybe that's me. So anyway, babble over. The gap on the shelf that I put on the thumbnail is a prime example of that, to be totally honest. And that was Bullet Witch, which I sold a couple of weeks ago now. And I bought that for in a bundle of games, and it cost me £1. And that was at a car boot. I'm not sure when. I don't know whether it was 2017 or 2018, but it was roughly sort of 7 or 8 years ago-ish, maybe. But it cost me £1, and I played it at the time. I wasn't wowed by it. I gave it an hour or two, didn't really enjoy it, and yeah, stuck it on the shelf. And I thought maybe I'll get back to that one day and give it a second chance. It just so happened that it came up in my Quick 6 video. And that basically forced me to do a little review on it. And I played it again and again couldn't get into it. And I looked it up and saw that it had gone up to basically it had gone up to £40 in CEX, which to me was absolutely crazy. And it traded in for £26. So I thought, right, this game gets one more chance. So I fired it up a few days after releasing the first Quick 6 video, and I was hoping for third time lucky, but it wasn't a B. I couldn't really get on with it, so it went into CEX and I took a £26 voucher. And to me, that's a game off my shelf that I'm never going to want to play again. I don't have to keep, because I'm not trying to full set anything at all, because I've done that, I've been there, and you know, kudos to anyone that wants to do that and can do that. I don't have it in me to do it. Sorry, technical issues, because I've been babbling for too long. But no, kudos to anyone that can do that. I mean, you've got a hell of a lot more dedication than I have, a lot more commitment to do something like that. It's just not me to do that. So, and because I'm not full setting, I don't mind trading games out of the collection now and again, especially when they're, to me, worth more than I think they're worth, sort of thing. That £26 is basically a voucher, but I will use it in CEX to buy maybe a couple of other games that I really want to play, or maybe it'll get put towards a slightly higher ticket item. I don't really know. So, but I think that is a pretty good trade from my point of view. That cost me £1. I've got £26 trade for it. Can't argue with that. The next thing now that we've got, so sorry if that's got a bit long, but the next thing that I've got now is, a while ago I was purchasing a few sealed games off eBay, and I had one that turned up that was a little bit suspect, to say the least, and I've always wondered whether it was like a real game or not. And that game also has sort of rocketed in price, but it's a duplicate copy because it's a game that I already owned, and it's not a game that I really paid a lot for. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to my unbagging table and undress it to see whether it's real, because if it's real, I'm going to trade it into CEX, and that will give me £26 credit. If it's not real, I would rather I'd rather open it here and check. And if it's not real, I'd rather it be on camera here than it be in CEX, where they punch me in the face for trying to sell them counterfeit goods. So, and if I was to take it as CEX sealed anyway, they're going to make me open it. So it doesn't really matter either way. So let's go and find out whether it's real or not. So why am I saying this could be a fake game? There's a few reasons, to be totally honest. This is sealed, and I purchased this as a sealed new game from eBay roughly about 2016 maybe. It was about £4. So at the time I didn't really sort of check through them that much. I used to get quite a lot of games back then, and by the time I sort of noticed it looked a little bit suspect, it didn't really seem sort of worth me arguing to sort of say, is this legitimate? For the sake of £4, I just sort of thought, yeah, I'll put it on the back burner and sort of maybe get around to opening it at some point and having a look. So a couple of things that I'm not sure about. I don't know if you'll be able to see on the top there's almost like a dark line above where the Xbox 360 band is, sort of thing, in the printing. And it just doesn't seem, when I compare it to my proper copy, the colours don't quite look right. You probably can't tell on camera, but if you, the greens are sort of slightly out on the Xboxes and things. So yes, and something else, it's also got a sort of, it's got hospital corners, as they call it, for the sealed top and bottom. However, it's got the overlap flap on the back for where it's sealed there. So it was originally fully sealed here. However, there was a little nick in it, and like an absolute tool, I decided to stick my finger in and do that. So it was sort of sealed on the edge there, but yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to open this, and you might say, why open it? Because it's a sealed Xbox 360 game that, for all intents and purposes, is probably legitimate, but I'm sort of 50-50 on it. And I've got 2 copies of this, and like last night I looked on CEX and I saw that this is now £40 and it trades in for £26. And I've had this copy not knowing whether it's legitimate for a long time, and I think now is as good a time as any to actually open it and see, and if it is legitimate I can take it into CEX and trade it in basically, or probably trade my old one and keep the fresher one sort of thing. I could take it into CEX sealed, but I did that before with GameCube games, and they basically turned me away, made me open them all, and then take them back. So there's no point taking it in sealed. So they're gonna, if I take this in like this, it's gonna get opened anyway. So I may as well just open it now on camera, and we will have a look together and see if this is actually legitimate, and I can compare it to my proper copy there, sort of thing. So here we go. I should have got a little knife. Shut that over there for now. Break the edge of that. And yes, I think that's legitimate. There we go. So that is what is inside. Let's have a quick flick through. Yeah, a little look at the disc. The disc is perfect. And one of the tells on Fate games is they don't have the Xbox thing in the middle a lot of the time. So that looks completely legit. If I'm totally honest, I'll just compare it to this copy, which has the CEX receipt in. And my original copy I purchased from CEX in 2015, January 2015, and it was £2.50. So I will put a thing up there for that. So yeah. Yeah, I can't see any difference in there. I'm just going to pick a random page in the manual and compare the two. So, page 9. I've just figured something out! This manual is not in English. So I think this is just a different pressing of the game. Well, there's Polish and Hungarian. It's basically Eastern European. That makes perfect sense now. I think it's just a different pressing of the game. So yes, so the nice minty manual is in various languages, none of which seem to be English. That makes sense. And the back of the box is all in English. So go figure. Yep. Whereas my manual, as you can see, is all in English. So yes, so there we go. So that's just an Eastern European pressing of the game. So brilliant. And there we go. So I'm taking that into CEX now. That will get traded in for £26, which, to be totally honest, I mean, this is a really good game. Don't get me wrong. I'm not selling it because it's a bad game. I was just always a bit dubious about that sealed copy. And I was like, when I saw it trades in for £26, I thought now's as good a time as any to open it. Because to be totally honest, I can't really see it going much higher than that. In all fairness, it's not a rare game at all. It's relatively common, I'd say. I've seen loads and loads of copies of this. I've got no idea how it's got to £40. I guess just the sort of FOMO stuff with all the Xbox 360 with the store closing, with this being only on Xbox 360 game. Sort of makes sense, but sort of doesn't. I'm not sure. But anyway, yes, so massively pleased with that. That is a legitimate copy, albeit an Eastern European one. So maybe I should have kept it sealed, maybe not. I was always curious, and out of all my sealed games, that's the one that I've been sort of thinking, I should open it and check it, but I didn't really want to open it and check it when I already had that. When the game was really only worth sort of a £5, it sort of didn't really sort of seem worthwhile doing, but seeing as it trades in for £26, I'm quite happy to basically exchange my spare copy of this into CEX and take £26 credit and hopefully get something absolutely awesome. So yeah. I will check the disc before I take it in and just make 100% sure that it is all running like English sort of thing. I think it will be because of the back of the cover and everything, but I want to double check that plays in English because, you know, don't want to pass on one that's not English, and also don't want to be keeping one that's not English sort of thing. So yes, thank you so much. Sorry if I've got a bit waffly. I will see you in a little while. Yeah, so I'm going to chalk that one up as a success. As you can see, I've got a £26 credit there for CEX, which I imagine I will probably end up putting towards some Mission 360 games, or I guess there's a couple of PS4 games that I'm after as well, so we'll see. Yeah, it all gets spent, it always does, so yeah. I just want to say I don't really flip a lot of games, to be honest. I do trade things in and out of the collection. I'm just quite sort of specific on what I pick up and that. And when I restrict myself sort of financially to doing it, I have to sort of be real sort of tight on what I do. I don't buy a lot of sort of big AAA games when they release and stuff like that, because that would just like destroy my game fund sort of thing. And to be honest, most of them, I don't know, maybe it's an age thing, but I'm not really into all that. The majority of the AAA stuff that releases now, I sort of find myself preferring stuff from a generation or two back, a lot of single player stuff. And I think that sort of leads me on to saying that, I don't know, you guys let me know, am I a bad collector because occasionally I sort of off high ticket items out of my collection? Or, you know, I don't know, because from my point of view, I honestly think you should collect what you want to collect, and your collection is your collection, and you shouldn't let anyone tell you what to collect. If you want a whole load of shelves full of FIFA, and that's your thing, do it. That's your collection. No one can tell you that's a bad collection because it's yours. It's a personal thing. So yes, so there I am excusing myself for all my shelves of FIFA. But no, that's just one of my little jokes. But no, you collect what you want to collect. Don't let people tell you what to collect. And yeah, make it about you. There's a lot of big games that I have no interest whatsoever in, to be totally honest. And I don't know. So that's just how I do it. So anyway, in the future, I'm planning on doing a little bit of a sort of look into my past with gaming and sort of how I sort of became a gamer and how I became a collector and stuff like that. So I don't know if there'll be any interest whatsoever in that. My sensible adult says it's all really interesting, but I mean, she's obviously very biased. So I'm probably imagining that I'm probably just talking to myself right now. So with that said, thank you so much for being here, everyone. Please like and subscribe if you're not already. You know, please come along for the journey. Let's see what we can do. And yes, I've been Sue, but as always, you are super, mega, awesome, amazing. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.